The grand hall shimmered under white and gold light. The air was still, filled with quiet anticipation. Rows of alien nobles stood in order, their eyes fixed on the floating scanner that hovered above the royal platform. It was no ordinary device. It was the ancient crown machine, said to recognize the blood of kings. For generations, it had chosen rulers by the light it produced. Every candidate so far had passed, calm, confident, glowing with royal energy. Then the guards opened the gate, and the human entered. He was tall, dressed in simple grey clothes, his face calm but uncertain. Whispers ran through the hall like fire. What was a human doing here? No human had ever stood before the royal scanner. Some nobles laughed quietly. Others looked insulted. A human among the heirs? One sneered. Let the machine burn him. It will be quick. The arch-examiner raised her hand for silence. Step forward, she ordered. The human obeyed, his boots echoing softly on the crystal floor. The scanner floated toward him, its blue light pulsing faster, almost like a heartbeat. The nobles leaned forward. The machine scanned his face, his heartbeat, his DNA. The hall filled with soft humming. For a moment, everything seemed normal. But then the scanner froze mid-air. A sudden spark of light flashed. The scanner flickered, symbols shifting rapidly across its surface, ancient runes no one had seen in thousands of years. The air vibrated. The lights of the hall dimmed. A deep voice, mechanical yet human, echoed through the space. Crownless King! Gasps erupted everywhere. The machine had spoken. It had never spoken. Guards rushed forward, unsure whether to protect the human or seize him. The arch-examiner's hands trembled. Impossible, she whispered. The device has no voice. It cannot speak. The human stood still. What does it mean? He asked quietly. The scanner glowed brighter, hovering just inches from his face. It was as if the machine was studying him, recognizing him. Energy rippled across his skin, marking it with faint, glowing symbols. The nobles stumbled backward in fear. Deactivate it. One shouted. The arch-examiner pressed her control panel, but the scanner ignored every command. Instead, it floated higher and projected a beam of light that formed an image. A crown made of pure energy. The voice repeated, Crownless King. The hall descended into chaos. Some shouted that it was a trick. Others whispered that prophecy had come true. The elders gathered in panic, debating if this was a sign from the gods or a malfunction. The human looked around, his calmness unbroken. I didn't do anything, he said. I just stood here. The arch-examiner turned toward him. Who are you? My name is Elias, he replied softly. I was sent here to help with repairs. Not for this. Her eyes narrowed. You should not have touched the line of succession, he nodded slightly. I didn't. The machine touched me. The room fell silent again. The scanner floated between them, now glowing in soft gold light instead of blue. It seemed alive, breathing in rhythm with Elias. Then, for the first time, the great hall lights flickered in unison, as if the entire palace responded to the scanner's pulse. One elder stepped forward, his voice trembling. If this is real, then the true heir is not of royal blood. He is human. The crowd erupted again, some shouting, some kneeling, some running out in fear. The arch-examiner stared at Elias, not as a threat now, but as a mystery she could not explain. The human looked at the scanner one more time. What are you trying to tell me? He whispered. The light on the device flickered once more, showing an ancient symbol, two circles joined by a single line, and then it went completely still. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the arch-examiner whispered almost to herself. The scanner does not make mistakes. Elias looked at her. Then what does that make me? Her eyes met his. It makes you something this empire is not ready for. The scanner remained suspended in the air, its once steady hum now replaced by an uneasy silence. The nobles stared, afraid to speak, as faint golden dust drifted from the glowing device like falling stars. The air felt charged, heavy, almost alive. Even the walls of the hall, engraved with symbols of the empire, seemed to shimmer faintly as if listening. Elias stood motionless beneath the floating machine. His heart pounded, but he kept his face calm. He didn't understand what had just happened. A moment ago, he had only been following the technician's order to stand by the testing area. Now, an ancient royal relic had frozen in front of him, glowing like a second sun. The arch-examiner whispered to her aides, "Shut it down manually." Two armored technicians rushed forward with tools that emitted low electric hums. They tried to override the scanner's core signal, but the tools melted in their hands, the metal dripping like candle wax. The machine pulsed brighter and released a deep sound, a resonance that shook the floor. Everyone covered their ears. Elias felt it vibrate through his bones. Then suddenly the voice came again, heir identified. "Authorization, Crownless King." Every noble in the room gasped. The elder lords fell to their knees out of instinctive reverence. Others backed away in terror. The phrase hadn't been heard since the founding of the Celestial Empire, when the first monarch, chosen by the scanner, united the fractured worlds. For generations the device had been silent. Now, after 1,000 years, it had spoken the same words. But to a human, Elias looked around. "I didn't do anything," he said again, louder this time. "I don't even know what's happening." The arch-examiner's eyes were wide, with both fear and fascination. "You carry something the scanner recognizes. Perhaps a resonance, or a code." She motioned for the guards. "Take him to the lower chamber. Keep him safe until we understand this." "Safe?" shouted one noble from the crowd. "You mean contained? He's tampered with the throne device." The guards hesitated, unsure whom to obey. The humans stood unarmed, surrounded by soldiers with plasma staffs. He raised his hands slowly. "I don't want trouble." But before they could move, the scanner emitted another pulse. This time, lines of golden light spread across the marble floor, connecting to the walls and ceiling. Ancient symbols blazed to life, an entire language no scholar had ever translated. The palace AI began to stutter in multiple voices, as though ancient memories were trying to speak through static. The arch-examiner fell to her knees. "This is impossible." "The palace core is responding. It's never done this before." Elias looked at the symbols forming around him. Some of them made sense. He didn't know how, but he could almost read them. Words like bond, blood, echo, and truth flashed before his eyes, glowing faintly on the ground. His breath quickened. He reached out without thinking, and the moment his fingers touched one of the lights, everything changed. The hall darkened. Every noble froze mid-motion, as if time itself had paused. The light from the scanner surrounded Elias completely, forming a golden sphere. He heard whispers, thousands of voices overlapping, male and female, alien and human. They spoke not to his ears, but to his mind. "You came later, but you were always meant to be here." They forgot. "You remember? The blood of the forgotten kings runs in you." The light vanished as suddenly as it appeared. Elias stumbled backward, gasping. The nobles blinked as if waking from a dream. The arch-examiner's voice trembled. What did it do to you?" "I don't know," Elias said. "It showed me something, words. I think it spoke to me." A low alarm echoed from the palace ceiling. Security drones entered through the side gates, weapons humming. The High Lord of the Council, a tall, silver-skinned being named Varan Kael, stepped forward in fury. "Enough!" he shouted. "Deactivate that cursed device and detain the intruder." "But my lord," the arch-examiner protested, "if we harm him, the scanner may—" "I said detain him." The guards surrounded Elias. He raised his hands again, but before they reached him, the scanner flared violently. A wave of force threw every guard backward like leaves in a storm. Marble cracked. Statues shattered. Elias stood untouched in the center of the storm, the scanner now orbiting him like a protective moon. Kyle staggered to his feet, his voice shaking. "He controls it." "I don't," Elias shouted over the roar. "It's doing this on its own." The scanner's light dimmed, then focused a single beam onto Elias's chest. A holographic crest appeared there, two intertwined circles surrounded by a ring of flame. Every noble recognized it instantly. It was the lost emblem of the first monarch, erased from history after the Great Rebellion. Kael's face drained of color. That symbol was destroyed eons ago. The arch-examiner whispered, "Or sealed." Waiting for a bearer, the storm faded, leaving silence in its wake. The nobles remained kneeling, their eyes reflecting fear and awe. The scanner slowly descended, its hum now soft, almost gentle. It floated to Elias's shoulder and stayed there, like a loyal guardian. Elias looked at it, then at the stunned crowd. "I'm not your king," he said softly. "I'm just a mechanic from Earth." Kyle's voice was cold. "Then the machine is broken." The arch-examiner turned sharply toward him. "No, the scanner cannot malfunction. It is bound to truth. If it calls him Crownless King, then the Empire must listen." Kyle clenched his fists. "Never. I will not let an off-worlder rule us." Elias met his glare. "I don't want your throne. I just want answers." The arch-examiner stepped closer. "Then you shall have them," she said quietly. "But not here. The royal archives may hold the truth of what just happened." Guards hesitated, but obeyed her signal this time. The scanner floated obediently beside Elias as he was led from the great hall. Behind him, whispers spread through the nobles like fire, rumors of prophecy, fear, and destiny. As the great doors closed, Lord Kyle turned to the arch-examiner. "If he is truly what the scanner claims," he said darkly, "then this empire will fall." She looked at the fading golden glow above the throne and whispered, "Or rise again." In the corridors below, Elias walked in silence, the scanner floating beside him, humming softly like it could sense his thoughts. He glanced at it and murmured, "Why me?" The machine pulsed once, almost like a heartbeat, and whispered a single word into his mind. "Because you remember." Elias sat alone in a dim chamber deep beneath the palace. The walls were carved with symbols that glowed faintly, as if the room itself breathed. A single light beam shone down on him, warm and golden. The scanner floated near the ceiling, quiet but still alive, its eye-like core slowly spinning. Guards stood at both exits, their armor reflecting the faint glow. He could hear whispers from beyond the door, voices of fear and disbelief. He had never been to a place like this. Just yesterday, he was an engineer sent from Earth to assist with the Empire's outdated systems. His task was simple: fix the scanner's stabilizer so it could test the new royal candidates. Now somehow, the same device had called him Crownless King. He wasn't sure if it was a miracle or a curse. The door slid open. The arch-examiner entered, her robes shimmering like flowing mercury. Behind her walked two council guards and a tall hooded figure, whose face was hidden by a mask of crystal. The air grew colder. Elias could feel tension pressing against his chest. "Elias of Earth," the arch-examiner began, her tone calm but heavy. "Do you understand what you've done?" He looked up. "I didn't do anything. The machine, your scanner, it chose me. I was just standing there." The masked figure stepped forward, his voice deep and resonant. "You triggered an ancient mechanism that responds only to royal blood." "Explain that," Elias frowned. "I can't. Maybe it's broken." "Impossible," the arch-examiner replied sharply. "The scanner has never malfunctioned. It is linked to the Empire's central core, the memory of the first kings. For it to react to you means something far beyond error." The masked man circled Elias slowly. "Then either he carries the lost bloodline," he said softly, "or something even older." The words echoed in the room. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. He turned toward the arch-examiner. "You said the machine reads bloodlines. What if it picked up something else? Energy, maybe. DNA mutation. I work with machines. I know glitches happen." She studied him closely. "You speak with reason, but the scanner speaks with truth. And truth, Elias, cannot be programmed." The masked man finally lifted his head. The crystal mask shimmered, showing the faint reflection of Elias's face. "Do you believe in destiny?" he asked. Elias shook his head. "I believe in cause and effect, not fate," the man chuckled. "Then perhaps you are cause, and we are the effect." The arch-examiner turned to him sharply. "Enough philosophy. He must be examined properly." "Examined?" Elias repeated uneasily. "Yes," she said. "Your blood, your memories, your energy field. If the scanner recognizes you, we must know why." Two guards approached with a glowing instrument. Elias stepped back instinctively. "You're not cutting me open, are you?" The Arch-Examiner smiled faintly. Nothing invasive, just data. The device projected a beam of light that surrounded him. It scanned his body slowly from head to toe. The holographic readings began forming in midair. Heart rate, cell patterns, and something else. A pulsing frequency, unlike any normal human signature. The Arch-Examiner's eyes widened. This is impossible. His neural frequency matches the pattern of the original dynasty. The masked figure leaned closer. You mean the first monarch? She nodded slowly. Identical resonance. Elias looked between them. You're saying my brainwaves match some ancient emperor? The Arch-Examiner whispered, not just any emperor. The one who built the scanner itself. The room fell silent. Even the guards shifted uneasily. The masked man spoke softly, almost in awe. Then he isn't an intruder. He's the echo of the founder. I'm no king, Elias protested. I don't even belong here. I came to fix things, not rule them. Maybe that's why the machine trusts you, the Arch-Examiner said quietly. It was built to find one who does not seek power. Before Elias could respond, the scanner above suddenly reactivated. Golden light spilled across the room. The floor symbols began to rearrange themselves, forming a path that led to the center of the chamber. The Arch-Examiner stepped back, whispering, "It's awakening again." Elias stood instinctively. The scanner's light focused on him and projected a large image, a memory not his, but ancient and alive. A vast battlefield appeared in the golden haze. Two suns shone above. An army of alien soldiers knelt before a single man wearing armor that shimmered like stars. His face was almost human, his eyes glowing gold. The voice of the scanner filled the room again. He who carries no crown shall unite those who broke the stars. Then the vision faded. Elias stood, frozen, breathing hard. What was that? The Arch-Examiner answered softly, a memory from the first coronation. You saw the origin of our empire. The masked man turned to her. And the machine is saying this. Human carries that same spark. Before anyone could speak further, the door burst open. Lord Kale stormed in, his armor glinting under the scanner's glow. You're wasting time with this off-worlder, he shouted. The people outside are panicking. They think prophecy has returned. He pointed at Elias. He should be locked in the deep cells until the council decides. The Arch-Examiner's expression hardened. If we imprison him, the scanner may react violently again. You saw what it did before. Kyle glared at her. And if we don't, this empire may tear itself apart believing a human is their king. Elias finally spoke, calm but firm. I didn't ask for this. But whatever your machine started, it's not going away. Maybe we can stop it if we understand it, Kale sneered. Understand it? You're a tool repairer, not a prophet. Maybe that's exactly what you need, Elias said. The scanner emitted a sharp hum, cutting the argument short. The golden light narrowed to a single beam, pointing toward the back wall. A hidden door appeared, sliding open with a deep metallic groan. Beyond it lay a dark corridor, lined with ancient symbols glowing faintly blue. The Arch-Examiner stepped forward. That passage has been sealed for 1,000 years, she whispered. It leads to the royal core, the heart of the empire. The scanner pulsed twice, as if confirming her words. Elias looked toward the doorway, feeling a strange pull in his chest. It wants me to go there, he said softly. Kale scowled. I forbid it. The Arch-Examiner ignored him. Let him. The Empire's core only opens for the chosen. Kyle's eyes burned with anger. If he enters, and the machine accepts him fully, the Council will have no choice but to recognize him as heir. Then maybe it's time the truth decided, she said. Elias stepped forward, the golden light following him like a loyal companion. As he crossed the threshold into the dark corridor, the scanner hovered close behind, humming softly, almost like a heartbeat. And as the door sealed behind them, Kyle turned away, his jaw clenched. If he truly is the Crownless King, he muttered, then the throne must never let him leave alive. The ancient corridor stretched endlessly ahead, carved from stone older than any record. Soft blue light shimmered from the walls, running like veins through a living body. The scanner floated beside Elias, humming quietly, its light bouncing off the markings as if reading an invisible script. Every step he took echoed like a drumbeat in a tomb that had waited too long to be opened. Elias could feel it, the strange energy that filled the place. It wasn't just air, it was memory. He walked slowly, his hand brushing against the glowing wall. The moment his fingers touched the surface, flashes hit his mind, voices, faces, battles, and a blinding crown made of light. He staggered back. "You are remembering," the scanner said softly. Its voice was no longer mechanical. It sounded almost human, deep and calm, like someone he had known before. "What am I remembering?" Elias asked, breathing hard. "The truth buried beneath bloodlines," it replied. "The first monarch was not of their race. He was from yours." Elias froze. "From Earth?" "Yes, humanity built the first alliance before the fall. The scanner was created to find his echo when the Empire lost its way. You are that echo." Elias looked away, trying to process the words. "So I'm some kind of clone?" "A descendant." "Neither," the scanner said. "You are the re-emergence of the same signal, consciousness reborn where the cycle demands." He shook his head. "That's impossible. I'm just an engineer. You are more than memory, Elias. You are the continuation of a promise." Before he could reply, the corridor ended in a massive chamber. A circular platform stood in the center, surrounded by colossal pillars inscribed with golden glyphs. At the top of each pillar burned a slow, steady flame, blue fire that made no smoke. In the middle of the platform floated an orb, larger than the scanner, encased in crystalline roots that pulsed like arteries. "The royal core," the scanner whispered. "The living heart of the Empire." Elias stepped closer, drawn by an invisible pull. The air grew heavy, warm, humming with power. As he approached, the orb brightened. The blue flames turned white. He could hear faint whispers, not words but emotions, joy, pain, regret, hope. He reached out. The moment his fingertips touched the crystal, the chamber exploded with light. Far above, in the council chambers, chaos was breaking out. Nobles shouted over one another, their voices echoing like thunder in the marble hall. "He's a fraud!" cried one. "A machine trick!" "The scanner cannot lie," countered another. "If it chose him, it must be destiny." Lord Kale stood at the center, fists clenched, his eyes burning. "Destiny or not, a human cannot rule the celestial empire. Do you forget the wars they started? Do you forget the suffering they caused when they left our alliance to die?" An elder replied quietly. "And yet their machines built our foundations, our scanners, our cores, all bear human design." Kyle slammed his hand on the table. "Blasphemy! The age of humans is gone! We are the inheritors!" The arch-examiner entered the hall just then, calm amid the storm. "The age of arrogance is what ended," she said. "The scanner's word is law. The throne recognizes him." The hall erupted again. Kyle turned to her. "If you stand with the human, you stand against the council." "I stand with truth," she said firmly, "and truth does not bow to fear." Kyle's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Then you have chosen rebellion." The arch-examiner met his gaze coldly. "No, Lord Kale, you have chosen blindness." Back in the chamber below, Elias stood within the storm of light. The orb's energy spiraled around him, wrapping his body in gold and blue tendrils. His mind was flooded with visions, galaxies forming, alliances being forged, the rise and fall of countless empires. And then, a face, the same man from the earlier vision, the first monarch, standing on a battlefield of ash, whispering words that felt like they were meant for Elias alone. "If they lose their way, return not with sword or crown, but with memory." When the light faded, Elias was on his knees, trembling. The orb dimmed slightly but remained alive, its pulse matching his heartbeat. The scanner hovered close. "You carry his code now. The Empire will feel it." "What does that mean?" he asked. "Every world linked to the throne will sense your awakening. Some will rally to you, others will fear you. The Empire will divide." He stood slowly. Then we need to stop that before it happens. The scanner hummed, uncertain. You cannot stop what is already in motion, but you can guide it. Before they could speak further, the chamber doors opened. A squad of soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. The leader stepped forward. Kyle himself, his armor glowing red with royal energy. I warned them, Kyle said, his voice echoing. The human will bring ruin. Elias didn't move. I don't want your throne, Kyle. I just want to understand what this thing made me. Kyle's eyes narrowed. Then let me help you understand. By ending it. He raised his gauntlet, energy crackling from his palm. But before he could strike, the scanner moved between them, releasing a wave of light that threw Kyle backward. The soldiers staggered, shielding their eyes. Kyle roared, "Kill him!" Elias instinctively lifted his hand, and the light from the core obeyed. Golden energy erupted around him, forming a shield that stopped the blasts mid-air. He looked down at his hands, horrified and amazed. I didn't mean to. You are linked to the heart, the scanner said. It protects its bearer. Kyle staggered to his feet, fury in his eyes. Then you are the threat. Stop! Elias shouted. No more fighting! The scanner pulsed violently, sensing his distress. The flames on the pillars flared white, and a shockwave rippled through the room, pushing everyone back. The soldiers dropped their weapons. Kyle struggled to stand, glaring at Elias one last time. You've divided the Empire already, he hissed. And soon they will destroy you for it. He retreated, leaving his men behind. The scanner dimmed again, settling beside Elias. The arch-examiner entered moments later, breathless, eyes wide. The council has split, she said. Half believe in you, half call you a usurper. Civil war will erupt before dawn. Elias looked at the glowing core, then back at her. Then we have one night to change their minds. She met his gaze, saw the light in his eyes, the same golden fire that once marked the first monarch, and nodded slowly. Then we begin tonight, Crownless King. Night had fallen over the celestial capital, but the Empire did not sleep. From the palace towers to the lowest streets, lights flickered like distant stars. Every citizen felt the tension. Rumors whispered that the ancient scanner had chosen a human. Some called it destiny, others called it treason. Patrol ships circled the skies, searching for signs of rebellion. Deep below, in the hidden chamber of the royal core, Elias sat cross-legged beside the glowing orb. The scanner hovered near his shoulder, its golden eye dim. The arch-examiner paced slowly, her robe dragging across the ancient floor. The council is breaking apart, she said quietly. Lord Kyle has taken the High Lords to his side. They claim the throne must be defended from contamination. He calls you an experiment, a machine's trick. Elias stared at the light in front of him. And the people? They are divided too. Some believe prophecy has returned. Others fear a war between species. She sighed, lowering her voice. Kyle's forces are mobilizing near the outer gates. By morning, this palace may no longer belong to us. He didn't answer. His gaze stayed on the pulsing orb, listening to its rhythm. It feels alive, he murmured. Like it's waiting for me to understand something. It responds to thought, the scanner said softly. It carries the memories of all rulers who came before, but their truth is not complete. Elias looked up. Not complete. There was a story rewritten, the scanner continued. The Empire erased what it feared. The arch-examiner turned sharply. What do you mean? The first monarch was not born of the royal blood. He was chosen by this machine for his compassion, not his lineage. When his descendants took the throne, they changed history to protect their claim. Elias frowned. So the scanner was built to find leaders who were worthy, not just born royal? Yes, the device replied. But when greed replaced wisdom, they locked me in ceremonial service. They forgot my purpose, to choose the one who could heal, not rule. The arch-examiner's eyes widened. Then all our dynasties, all our bloodlines, they were based on a lie. Elias stood slowly. And that's why it recognized me. Because I wasn't part of any line. Because you carry empathy uncorrupted by ambition, the scanner said. Humanity's flaw became its strength. You remember what they forgot. Before anyone could speak, the chamber walls trembled. Distant explosions echoed through the tunnels. The arch-examiner turned toward the door. Kyle has begun his assault. Elias clenched his fists. He'll destroy this place just to stop me. The scanner pulsed. You can stop him without bloodshed if you accept what you are. What am I? He whispered. The living key. The Crownless King is not a ruler of armies, but of hearts. The core will amplify what you feel. If you reach them, they will listen. Elias stared at the orb, the pulsing light that now seemed to breathe in rhythm with his chest. He didn't feel like a king. He felt human, terrified, uncertain. Yet deep inside, he knew what he had to do. Show me, he said quietly. The scanner floated closer and released a beam into his chest. The chamber darkened. The orb flared with gold, and memories flooded his mind. The monarch's words, the rise of worlds, the fall of arrogance. He saw the empire built on hope, then slowly poisoned by pride. He saw the first monarch refuse the crown, choosing instead to guide from the shadows. And then he saw it. The message hidden in the machine's code. The true heir will wear no crown, but unite those who hate him most. When the light faded, Elias opened his eyes. His irises now glowed faint gold. The scanner's voice was almost reverent. The core is open to you. He turned to the arch-examiner. If I connect to it, can I reach the people? Yes, she said, hesitant. Every mind in the capital is tied to the palace net, but the risk— I don't care about risk, he said. If I don't speak now, Kyle will decide for everyone. She nodded slowly. Then we do this together. Outside, the battle had begun. Kyle's soldiers stormed the lower halls, their energy weapons flashing in the dark. Marble cracked, banners burned, and alarms wailed through the palace. Kyle led from the front, his eyes burning with rage and conviction. He'll destroy our heritage, he shouted. The Empire bows to no machine and no human. But as he advanced, the very walls began to hum. Blue light bled through the cracks in the floor, and the scanner's voice echoed faintly through the corridors. All shall witness the truth. Kyle hesitated for a moment, then pressed forward. In the core chamber, Elias stood at the center platform, the orb now blazing brighter than the sun. He placed his hands on its surface. Instantly, tendrils of golden energy spread across his skin, connecting him to the Empire's neural net. He gasped as millions of thoughts flooded his mind. Fear, anger, confusion. Every citizen, every soldier, every noble, their voices merged into a single storm. He saw mothers holding children under red skies, soldiers dying for leaders they didn't understand, and entire worlds trembling under the Empire's shadow. Then he spoke, not aloud, but through the connection itself. His voice carried into every mind across the Empire. My name is Elias. I came from Earth, not to rule you, but to remind you what you were meant to be. Your empire was built by unity, not fear. You forgot that. You let bloodlines decide worth and machines become idols. But the scanner chose me because it saw what you cannot. That strength is born from compassion. The entire capital stopped. Streets went silent. Even Kyle froze in the middle of battle, his weapon lowering as Elias's voice filled the air like a hymn. I don't seek your throne. I don't need your crown. But if a voice like mine can reach you now, then maybe it's not too late to change what we've become. The Crownless King isn't a title. It's a choice. A reminder that power without kindness is nothing. Light burst from the palace spire, racing across the sky. Every soldier dropped their weapon as visions of the first monarch appeared above them, not as a god, but as a man who walked among them. The scanner amplified Elias's words into pure feeling. Sorrow, forgiveness, hope. Kale fell to his knees, staring at the image in disbelief. His armor flickered as his rage broke. Inside the chamber, Elias trembled, the energy overwhelming him. The arch-examiner placed her hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she whispered. The scanner dimmed, its voice soft. "The Empire remembers." Elias slowly stepped back from the orb, exhausted but calm. "No," he said quietly. "It's not over yet. They've remembered. Now they must choose." The scanner pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. "Then tomorrow we'll decide if you are king or martyr." And somewhere above, as the dawn began to break over the capital's shattered skyline, the people of the Empire stood beneath the golden light, no longer sure who ruled them, but finally remembering why they needed to be united at all. The first light of dawn spilled across the celestial capital like a wound healing slowly. Smoke rose from the lower districts, where Kyle's troops had fought through the night. The palace spires still glowed faintly, with the golden light from the scanners awakening, their tips reflecting the morning sun like a crown suspended over the city. Yet no anthem played, no banners waved. The Empire was holding its breath. Inside the royal hall, silence reigned. The great scanner hovered above the throne platform, dimmed now, its energy spent but alive. The arch-examiner stood near the balcony, watching the streets below. People had gathered, nobles, soldiers, commoners, all waiting for someone to tell them what came next. Behind her, the great doors opened. Elias walked in quietly. His steps were slow, tired, but steady. His clothes were torn from the chaos of the night, yet his presence carried a calm power that silenced even the guards. The golden light from the scanner flickered faintly as he passed, like it recognized him each time. "You shouldn't be here alone," the arch-examiner said softly without turning. "I'm not," Elias replied, glancing at the scanner. "It's still with me." She turned, eyes searching his face. "The city listens to you now." The broadcast reached every world linked to the core. "Some planets have already declared peace. Others demand you take the throne." Elias exhaled. "And Kale?" "He fled before dawn. His armies broke apart when the people saw your vision. But he's still out there, gathering the ones who fear change." Elias nodded slowly. "He'll come back. People like him always do." The arch-examiner stepped closer. "You could end this now. If you take the crown, the council will have no choice but to accept it. You could unite the Empire." He looked up at the floating scanner. "Unite them with fear or faith." "Faith," she said. "Faith built on a lie," Elias murmured. "If I take the crown, I become the thing I'm trying to end." The arch-examiner frowned. "Then what will you do?" Elias looked toward the throne. The seat was carved from pure starlight crystal, glowing faintly under the dawn. It was beautiful and cold. He walked toward it slowly, his reflection stretching across the polished floor. The scanner followed, humming softly. He stood before the throne, his hand hovering over it but never touching. "How many people died fighting for this seat?" he asked quietly. "Too many," she whispered. He nodded. "Then let it end here." He turned to the scanner. "You once said your purpose was not to choose rulers, but healers. Tell me, can the Empire heal without a king?" The scanner's light pulsed gently. "A crown divides. A purpose unites. You already are what they need." Elias smiled faintly. "Then let's give them something better than a king." He placed his palm on the scanner. It flared to life, flooding the hall with golden light once again. The nobles and guards, shielding their eyes, looked on in awe as the walls began to glow with ancient symbols. The air vibrated softly, like a heartbeat echoing through stone. "People of the Celestial Empire," Elias's voice echoed, not through speakers but through every mind. "The throne you worship is older than any of us. It was meant to guide, not rule. It chose me not for my blood but for my choice, to stand without a crown. Today I return it to you." He turned toward the throne. The scanner floated above it, its golden light forming the shape of a crown made of pure energy. Elias reached up, and instead of wearing it, he pressed his hand through it. The crown shattered into 1,000 beams of light that scattered across the hall, through the windows, into the skies. Every corner of the empire saw the golden light rain down from the heavens, each spark sinking into the hearts of its people. Farmers, miners, merchants, soldiers all felt the same warmth in their chest. The scanner's voice whispered through them all, "Rule yourselves with the truth you once forgot." In the hall, the nobles knelt instinctively. The arch-examiner fell to one knee, tears in her eyes. "You gave them freedom," she whispered. Elias turned toward her, his face calm but distant. "Freedom was never mine to give. It was theirs to remember." The scanner drifted lower, its voice quieter now. "Your purpose is fulfilled, Crownless King," he smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's time for both of us to rest." But before he could step away, a distant sound rumbled through the palace, the thunder of engines. The arch-examiner turned sharply toward the balcony. "Kyle," she breathed. "He's returned." Outside, the horizon glowed red as a fleet of warships broke through the morning clouds. Kyle's banner shimmered on their hulls, a black crown surrounded by flame. His voice boomed through the capital's loudspeakers. "This is not unity. This is surrender. The human has cursed our empire. I will cleanse it myself." Explosions thundered as missiles streaked toward the palace. The arch-examiner shouted, "The shields won't hold." Elias looked up at the scanner. "Can we stop him?" The scanner hummed. "Only if you act as one, not as king, but as bridge." He closed his eyes. "Then let's end this together." The scanner floated to his chest, merging with the golden mark that still glowed faintly on his skin. For a moment the world held its breath. Then a wave of light erupted from the palace, brighter, purer, and warmer than fire. The missiles froze mid-air, dissolving into dust. Kyle's fleet stopped moving, engines shutting down one by one as the wave passed through them. On his flagship, Kyle stumbled to his knees, clutching his chest as the same warmth filled him. He looked out the viewport, tears running down his face. "What have I done?" he whispered. Back in the throne hall, the scanner separated from Elias, dimming slowly. "The Empire is free," it said softly. "The war is over." Elias fell to one knee, breathing hard. The arch-examiner caught him before he collapsed. "Elias, stay with me." He smiled faintly. "I'm still here, just tired." "You saved them," she said, her voice shaking. He looked toward the empty throne, now surrounded by soft light. "No," he whispered. "They saved themselves." Outside, the golden sky slowly cleared. Citizens emerged from their homes, staring in awe as the warships descended peacefully, their weapons powered down, and for the first time in living memory, no one bowed. No one kneeled. They simply looked toward the palace, toward the man who had refused the crown, and whispered his name with reverence. The scanner's final words echoed across the empire. "The age of kings ends. The age of worth begins." As the dawn fully rose, Elias stepped into the light, the mark on his chest fading softly. He was no longer a ruler, no longer a chosen one, just a man who reminded a galaxy that peace was not found in power, but in the courage to let go of it. And so, the legend of the Crownless King began, not as a story of conquest, but of awakening.